I completed my march to the administration building. I walked up to the second floor where the director of admissions was, and I walked into his office and sat down. He said, glad to finally meet you after our phone conversations. I said, I'm glad to be here. He looked at me and said, now let's get down to business. He said, I need you to pay for your re-enrollment fee and your first month's tuition. And I looked at him and I said, I don't have it. He looked at me and said, I know. And he said, I just got off the phone with the business office, and they just received a phone call from somebody in our area who heard about you, and they have paid your bill in full. Do you think there was a little worship service going on in the administrator's office? I mean, I just yelled out, like, what? You're kidding me. And I started crying, oh God, thank you. He had tears in his eyes. It was so incredible. You know what God did? He just built the drama. So that at just the right moment, when it had just about impact, not just on me, but a director of admissions, boom, there was the answer. And sometimes God waits because he's waiting for just the right moment, for just the right impact. So keep praying. But you know, it occurs to me there might be another reason for a delay. Maybe it's not a timing issue. Maybe it's a testing issue. Sometimes God delays answer to prayers just to test us. For one, he wants to see how badly we really want something. Do you really want this thing so badly that you can't let go? You can't stop praying. You can't get it out of your heart. You can't get it out of your mind. It matters so much to you, you refuse to let go with that prayer. Because sometimes God will only give us things, God will only answer prayers when we have proven we really, really want this. There was a man in the Bible whose name was Jacob. And it had been prophesied that Jacob was going to be a mighty man. But Jacob had some real character flaws. He was devious. He was deceptive. He was manipulative. And it got him into all sorts of trouble with his own family and with others at large. But after being on the lam for a while because of fractured relationships, Jacob finally got to a place in his life where he said, you know what? I just need to stop trying to manage outcomes. And I need to be a man of character and do it God's way. And so a big meeting was set up for him to meet with his brother, who he had ripped off. And he sent his family on ahead, and history said that late at night he was all by himself by a river. And he started wrestling with a man. That's just how it says it. He started wrestling with a man. And they wrestled all night long. And you're like, this is an odd occurrence. This all night long wrestling match with this strange person who suddenly shows up, whose name we do not know. But as the story unfolds, as it got to be toward dawn, the one nameless man finally says, why don't you just stop wrestling with me? And Jacob said, I will not stop until you bless me. See, Joseph figured out something in the wrestling match. This man was actually God in the flesh. That there was something divine about this person. And he said, I'm not going to stop wrestling. And this person says, I will bless you. Apparently, all night long, it was a wrestling match about whether or not this person would bless Jacob. And Jacob said, I am not going forward. I am not going on. I cannot possibly be the man I'm supposed to be and do the things I'm finally supposed to do until I have your blessing. And I will not let go. Even if you hurt me, because this person touched his hip in a way that the hip went out of socket and he had this incredible pain and limp. He said, I don't care how much you hurt me. I will not let go until you bless me. And finally, this man, this angel of the Lord, this pre-incarnational manifestation of Jesus said, I bless you. You know, I wonder, are there things that we want so desperately that we refuse to stop asking asking God until he does something about it. Sometimes he's testing us. How much do you really want this? And sometimes he tests us this way. How deeply do you believe I can actually do this? And how deeply do you believe I actually will if you keep asking? There's a fascinating portion of Scripture. It's found in Matthew chapter 15, where Jesus is acting so unlike Jesus. It says Jesus left that place and withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. He got away out of Palestine Central by Jerusalem. And he says, a Canaanite woman from the vicinity came to him crying out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession. Many of you parents have the same problem with your children. Can you imagine crying out, my daughter is like possessed. Jesus, you've got to do something. And Jesus did not answer a word. Broken-hearted woman, please help my daughter. Jesus. So the disciples came to him and urged him, send her away because she keeps crying out after us. Jesus, she is such a nuisance. Will you tell her to hightail it out of here? We're on vacation. Jesus looked at the woman and said to her, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. First he says nothing. Then he goes, you're a Gentile, I'm a Jew, I came for the Jews. The woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me. Jesus replied, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. What? It's like Jesus is having a massively bad day. He really must have needed some vacation. First, he ignores a totally broken woman over the plight of her own daughter. Then he looks at her and he says, you know what, look, the bottom line is I didn't come for you, I came for somebody else. Then when she said, no, you got to help me, he goes, it's not right to take what's meant for kids and give it to dogs. Implied, you dog. Yes, Lord, she said, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed from that very hour. She had the kind of faith that said, I do not understand what you are doing, Jesus, but I believe you can do this. She had the kind of faith that said, I do not understand why you are acting the way you are acting, Jesus, but I believe you can do this. She had the kind of faith that says, you know what? It feels like you're trying to rebuff me and turn me away and not hear me, Jesus, but I believe in your heart in spite of how things appear. And Jesus said, I'm going to answer that request. And sometimes Jesus just wants us to keep asking and believing that he will and that he can, in spite of all the circumstantial evidence to the contrary, in spite of the fact that it feels like God is not listening and does not care. No matter how it feels, no matter what circumstances stay, I will believe that God is exactly who he said he is.